So, first video of 2019, huh? I wanted to make a schedule clear for this new year. To begin next week, part 2 of Titans will be out. Then, I'll start another 2-part Mess or Masterpiece series with Young Justice, as Season 3 has just started releasing. And from now on, I'm going to try to upload every Friday through Sunday, basically over the weekend. Anyways, now that the video schedule is out of the way, let's get to what I really wanted to talk about in this video. Aquaman. So, many people dislike the current DCEU, me being one of them. DC decided to take an interesting world-building route, and instead of developing each individual character, or at least most of them, they decided to make one solo movie and then 3 team-up movies. And sure, that works for some universes, but it has to be done incredibly well. I mean, if you took away the fact that Justice League is a superhero movie and stripped it down to just the basic plot, it isn't good. Same with Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. On the other hand, DC seems to make really good solo movies, with the exception of Man of Steel, of course. And Aquaman is one of those really good solo movies. Now, don't get me wrong, Aquaman has its fair share of problems, but it's an overall enjoyable adventure with a coherent plot. I figure I'd start with my problems with the movie. Firstly, the movie has these really weird tonal shifts. The first half of the movie or so is heavily comedic, and it's funny comedy, not like Justice League, where every joke made me want to walk out of the theater. But then, all of a sudden, all the comedy cuts out, and then, at the end, there's like one joke. It just felt like too quick of a change to me. And I know that in the final battle, you have to get serious, but the movie's tonal shift happened right after the battle against Black Manta in Italy. Arthur and Mera hadn't even gotten the trident by then. The movie's twists are also really predictable. Like, I knew that Arthur's mother wasn't dead, I knew Arthur would be able to get the trident. I mean, there were some twists I didn't expect, but overall, they were relatively predictable. My final complaint is that Arthur's backstory is revealed in a really weird way. Now, this might have been interesting, but overall, it just was hard to follow. First, when Arthur would talk about Vulcan, I had no idea who he was talking about, because we didn't know who Vulcan was until later in the movie through flashbacks. Now, what I did like about this movie is that it made me enjoy watching a character I've never been interested in. As a superhero nerd, I've read quite a few comics in my day, but I've never read any Aquaman comics, because in my opinion, he's just kind of boring. But after seeing this movie, I'm thinking about starting to read the comics, because this movie made Arthur very likable. He was just this goofy and funny guy, and I loved it so much. I also really liked the way the story was presented. It was different than other superhero movies, because I felt like I was watching an episode of DuckTales. Watching Mera and Arthur on their adventure to find the trident was like going on an adventure with Scrooge McDuck, fighting monsters, following clues, escaping captivity. I love these superhero movies that mix genres, like Logan being a Western or Wonder Woman being a World War II movie. Aquaman is very similar because it feels like I'm watching an adventure movie with superhero aspects. The fight scenes were also really cool. There was a lot of CGI used, but it looked believable enough, so I'll give them a pass. Every battle between Arthur and Ocean Master was amazing, and I love the fight in Italy with Black Manta, of whom I wish they used more of. The scene where Mera impaled the Atlantean police with spears of wine was so cool. I also loved Arthur and Mera's relationship throughout the movie, because you could see them go from kind of disliking each other to falling in love. The pacing of their relationship was very well presented. Every one of their interactions made me giddy. Ocean Master is also probably one of the best villains ever to appear in a DC movie. I mean, if I had one complaint with Wonder Woman and lots of other superhero movies, it's that the villain wasn't memorable at all. But Aquaman fixes this problem by casting an incredible actor, who, if you didn't know, also played Night Owl in Watchmen, and by writing an all-around amazing villain who had an interesting story. So, some of you may be asking, why make this video now? Aquaman is almost a month old, and the hype has died down. Well, that's exactly why I'm making this video now. When movies first come out, being overhyped or underhyped can make a great movie look bad, or an awful movie look great. I mean, look at how people treated Justice League just a few days after it came out. People loved it. But now, a little over a year later, people use it as an argument for why the DCEU is bad. I wanted to make a review of Aquaman after the hype died down, so I could take a more subjective look at it. I mean, I had low expectations for Aquaman, but after seeing this movie 4 different times, I can full-heartedly say that Aquaman is a great movie.